So, I am a stay-at-home mom. I have a gorgeous, cheeky little boy called Bobby. He is 3 years old and an absolute angel. When I say that I am a stay-at-home mom, I literally mean stay at home. You see, we can't leave the house. Why, you ask? Because I have to keep my son hidden. He is 3 years old and on the FBI's most wanted list. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more crazy stories. Let me start at the beginning. I had always led a busy social life. I was out all the time with my friends. I was on the girls' basketball team, the swim squad. I was never at home. I didn't have time for boys. That was until I met Brad. I fell for him immediately. His big blue eyes and charming smile had me weak at the knees. We started dating. I'm sorry to say that I dropped my friends and only had time for Brad. I wanted to spend every minute of the day with him. The one time I did go out with my friends, I spent the whole evening on the phone to Brad. I knew I was spending time with my friends out of guilt, not because I wanted to be with them. Well, that wasn't fair to them, was it? So I decided I would spend all of my time with Brad. We got serious really quickly and started planning our lives together. I knew he was the one for me. I spent my days dreaming of the wonderful wedding we would have. Then one day, everything changed. I found out I was pregnant. It was a big shock. I had never wanted to have children so young, especially not at 18. But I loved Brad and thought it was meant to be. Brad didn't take the news well. He seemed so angry and became distant. We argued. That upset me because we had never argued before. To cut a long story short, by the time Bobby was born, Brad had moved on. I didn't hear from him again. My friends told me that he had a new girlfriend. I couldn't believe that he could so easily forget about me and his own child. One time I was out at the mall looking for some new clothes for Bobby. I turned the corner and there in front of me was Brad and his new girlfriend. The color drained from my face. I didn't want to speak to them, but they were heading straight towards me. I darted into the nearest store, hoping they hadn't seen me. It seemed an eternity before they walked past. I couldn't help but to look at them. Brad still looked as handsome as ever. His girlfriend was hanging on his every word. I wondered if she knew about me. If she knew Brad had a child. It was torture to see them together, but I couldn't help myself. I followed them around the mall, keeping a safe distance between us. Brad was smiling at her. Oh, I remembered that smile. He used to smile at me that way. But then I remembered how horrible it was at the end. How he had looked at me when I told him I was pregnant. I knew I didn't want him in my life. She was welcome to have him. I turned around and walked out of the mall. So it was just Bobby and me. I fell in love with Bobby from the first time I held him. He had beautiful blonde curly hair and a cheeky little smile that made my heart sing. It was just me and him, and he was all that I needed. The first few months were tiring, but I was happy. I loved taking Bobby out for a walk. I remember one of our first walks to the park. It was a beautiful sunny day. I met a lady who was out with her granddaughter. She took one look at Bobby and gushed, "Oh, look how handsome he is." I was so proud of that moment. I thought my heart would burst with joy. We spent lots of time at the park, and I became friends with a few of the other moms that spent their time there. We would arrange play dates and bring a picnic along. It was so nice to see Bobby playing with his little friends. Life was pretty amazing, to be honest. As the winter months drew in, we spent more time at home. I had always loved playing video games, so I spent a lot of my time on the computer. Of course, Bobby was always by my side. He soon started paying a lot of attention to what I was doing. It wasn't long before he was playing his own games. He loved all the children's games. He was able to master most games within a few times of playing. He was really a computer genius. I started working online from home to earn some extra money for us. It was really easy. Bobby was happy to sit in front of his computer playing games and keeping himself entertained whilst I worked. I would listen to his cute little giggles as he played Super Mario. Only it turns out his sweet laugh wasn't from playing his games. Turns out he was hacking into the FBI's computer system and creating chaos. He was laughing because he had instructed the police department to go chasing after an imaginary escaped zoo animal, which is how he ended up with his face all over the news networks. The day I found out started off so well. It was springtime and the weather was warming up nicely. We decided a day at the beach was just what we needed. We got up bright and early, packed up our beach bag, and set off to the beach. It was about a 20-minute drive, and as we drove along listening to the radio, I smiled to myself and thought about how wonderful our little life was. We spent our morning building sandcastles, paddling in the ocean, and sunbathing. It was great. By lunchtime, we were feeling very hungry, so we decided to stop at one of the local cafes for a sandwich and a nice cool drink. That's when my world came crashing down. The waitress had just taken our order, and as we sat back and relaxed, I glanced at the TV showing the local news. To my surprise, I saw Bobby's face staring back at me. What was going on? Why was Bobby on the news? I listened to the presenter say, "This is the 3-year-old boy who is wanted by the FBI for hacking into their computer system." I was shocked, but I knew it was true. I'd always known Bobby was a computer whiz kid. I had to get him out of there before someone recognized him. I grabbed Bobby, threw some money on the table, and ran out. As I ran to our car, I was sure someone would see Bobby and call the police. I tried to hide his face in my dress as I ran. Once we were in the car, I relaxed a little. The drive home seemed to take forever, but eventually we were pulling into our familiar driveway. Once inside our house, I knew we were safe, away from prying eyes. That's when I knew what I must do. I would have to keep Bobby hidden in our house. It was the only way I could keep him safe. That was the day our life changed. At first, it was difficult to keep explaining why we couldn't go to the park or meet our friends for a play date. I would say Bobby had a cold or I was busy with work. Eventually, our friends got tired of asking. I suppose they thought I was bored of them. Maybe I had made new friends. After they stopped calling, it became easier. I did all my shopping online, had our groceries delivered, paid everything by mobile banking. We didn't need to leave the house for anything. Bobby was still playing his video games, but I kept a close eye on him. We were safe. His face would still appear on the news, but I just switched channels when it came on. It was easier that way. Bobby would sometimes ask to go to the park. He loved the swings and the slide. He missed his friends too. When he seemed a little sad, I would try to think up something exciting to do. Bobby loved baking. We would spend time looking through the recipe books until we decided what we would make. Bobby always chose cookies. He would pull up his little stool and stand on it so he could reach the table, and we would mix all the ingredients. He was so excited to put the cookies in the oven. The smell in the kitchen would make him so happy. He would forget all about wanting to leave the house. As the months went on, Bobby started to get really restless. He asked every day if we could go out to the park or to the beach. I knew I needed to do something to keep him busy, so I decided it was time for him to move to his own bedroom. Up until then, Bobby had always slept in my room. He had his own little bed in the corner. That way I could keep an eye on him. Bobby seemed really excited when I told him that he could choose everything for his own room all by himself. He would spend hours looking at different bedroom furniture and choosing the color of his walls and curtains. We ordered everything to be delivered and set to work on decorating and transforming the room next to my bedroom. When the room was ready, I told Bobby that he would be sleeping in his own room that night. He was so excited. I thought he would never get to sleep that night. It was difficult for me at first. My little boy was growing up. I knew I could trust him with his computer now. He only played his games. He knew that he wasn't allowed to play with the police system anymore. I woke up early on the day it all went wrong. I looked in on Bobby. He was still fast asleep. His little face looked so peaceful. I went downstairs to put the kettle on. I made a coffee and took it into the lounge. I loved the early mornings. It looked like it was going to be a beautiful autumn day. I finished my coffee and went into the kitchen. I was just about to go upstairs to check on Bobby when I heard a sound that made my heart skip a beat. He was giggling at his computer. It was the same giggle I had heard from before. I ran up the stairs and into his room, but it was too late. I heard the sound of sirens coming from all directions just as I reached his computer to see he had hacked into the FBI system and instructed the police department to come to our house. Within seconds, our house was surrounded by police cars, officers shouting for us to come out with our hands up. I picked up Bobby and wondered if we could get out the back way. I just wanted to protect my son. I grabbed my car keys and opened the back door. 5 or 6 officers were waiting for us. I knew it was all over. There was nothing I could do. They arrested Bobby and drove us to the nearest station. As Bobby was only 3 years old, they couldn't send him to prison. Instead, he has to stay at a treatment center. He has to have therapy to teach him that what he did was wrong. I get to see him once a week. We go to the park.